Meanwhile, talking about 5 stars, I suppose when it comes to Cork companies, and I've been talking about recently wanting to do more about Cork heritage and certainly Cork businesses that have built up over the years and have been family run and stayed as family, and I want to do some more on that over the coming weeks. And I'd love to hear of more stories. Like, for instance, I heard of the Lynch bakery in Macroom there recently, Humphrey Lynch, baking bread down there generation after generation after generation for something like 130 years, or was it 170 years? But old-fashioned bread, the good old-fashioned way, stuff that doesn't last for 10 days or a fortnight in the drawer, good old-fashioned bread, and doing it from generation to generation. And then I was talking and giving away some really nice prizes last week, courtesy of ourselves and Casey's, down on Oliver Plunkett Street. And I know the Street Fleet were down there on Saturday, and they were celebrating their 90th birthday, or their 90th anniversary from when Casey's first opened. And it is a family business going from generation to generation to generation, and if my maths are correct, it should at this stage be 3rd generation Casey. I think it started with John and Francis Casey in 1921, and then was taken over by Jim. Jim then retired and his sons took over. But the retired Jim, who's got his feet up somewhere down in the 028 area, joins me by phone. Jim, good morning.
Good morning, Neil.
Are you down West Cork then,
no,
are you?
I'm back, Neil.
Oh, right.
I was there for the last nearly 6 months.
So you can't stay away, is it?
Exactly.
And the John and Francis Casey that I refer to, your mum and dad, right?
Yeah.
And what, I've seen photographs of them, and I've seen all of the different early photographs. What did they do up until then? Were they in that trade, or were?
No. But my father came from a farming background, and he was born in Sri Lan Ovens, Casey's Cross, Sri Lan Ovens, and there was himself, a brother, and 3 sisters, and like they were all when my grandfather died, he was left the farm, but he had 3 sisters there, so he decided he'd go into the retail. So around 1910, he started his apprenticeship at the Queen's Old Castle.
Go away. And
in those days, they used to stay over the building. So I mean, like he was working during the day and sleeping there at night time.
And the same was at the Munster Arcade, actually, and caches and things like that. They also provided, in fairness to them, accommodation for their staff.
That's correct.
And what did your dad apprentice as?
He apprenticed as a retail, into retail, because as you know, the Queen's was general. But then, through his retail, he decided that furniture, and he opened his first shop in 1921 in Marlborough Street, which is now Tony's men's shop.
Go away. And you got furniture in there, small and all as it was.
Exactly.
But let me just ask you about the whole apprentice thing. His parents then, or someone, would have had to pay for him to serve his time, wouldn't they?
Yes, they had.
I mean, it was very serious, wasn't it then?
I'm not sure what the money was, but they had to. I mean, but I suppose the farm paid for it, or his sisters who were running the farm paid for it, or at times he could manage himself. But in those times, there wasn't too much bread, and they had to work hard for what they earned. And
I said a lot of the furniture at the time would have been on the Never Never or hire purchase. Did he go into that area, or was it always at a more exclusive end?
Again, in Marlborough Street, I can only just talk when I came, but he never was really into hire purchase, but we was going to give people credit, you understand?
Yeah.
And then, what was very important in our business is that the families, the great grandmother, the grandmother, the daughter, and now her daughter, they all came, and if they couldn't pay for it, they paid by the week or paid by the month, but it wasn't hire purchase really.
It was amazing, because my father, when he started out many years ago, I think would have been way back in the days of Cavendish, when they had reps going around and they had the book, and it was hire purchase, and you bought a bed or you bought a set of kitchen tables and chairs and stuff like that.
That's right, because I can remember your father, when I came in, he was in opposition to me. He was the buyer in Cashes.
Correct.
And I was the buyer in Casey's.
So it must have been very competitive then, yeah?
Oh, very competitive. I mean, it's like all businesses, you have to work hard. There was 6 days a week. There was no day off.
So they moved then up from Marlborough Street to the bigger location on Oliver Plunkett Street.
Exactly. He moved up in the early 30s.
So he was in the right side of town to avoid the tans or being burnt down or any kind of civil...
but when he went out to Malborough Street, they were all the problems were, but they didn't come down to Oliver Plummer Street.
No.
And then like we bought the shop from D and Company. They were DEE. And at 65 Oliver Plummer Street.
What was it that they did up until then?
They were in furniture.
And would they have been there for a long time before?
It was there a long time because I got a bit of history from it from somebody, from a historian one time, and I'd say they were there for 30 or 40 years before then.
At least, so certainly 1870 or whatever.
Oh, exactly.
It's amazing, isn't it? Where would the furniture have come? Again, I remember, certainly in the case of, say, Cash's or stores like that, they made their own furniture.
That's right. Well, we were lucky. We had some great employees. In those days we had a workshop up in the top floor, on the third floor of Oliver Plummer Street, and there was anything from 20 to 25 men making furniture or repairing furniture, and they used to have to go, well, the machine shop was down on the ground floor, so they had to go down 3 floors to cut a piece of timbers. It just shows you how hard they had to work in those times, you know.
Productivity wasn't as good as it could have been then with all the traipsing around.
We also made the famous Cork 11 bar chairs.
What's that?
They were, the dining room chairs. There's 11 bars. They're well known in Cork. They were also made by O'Connell's of Lavis Quay.
Oh yes, I know that.
They're synonymous with Cork, and I mean people are handing them down from parents to children or vice versa.
So going back to the earlier days then, when Cork would have been known very much for lots of different products, silverware for instance would have been a huge one in Cork. Would we have been known then as a city of furniture manufacturers and of high-end quality gear like that?
Well, we were, because there wasn't too many people outside Dublin possibly making furniture. But unfortunately, as it is now, there is virtually nothing being made in the country.
And that's because of import, is it?
Exactly. Well, they're bringing the stuff in now, kind of in boxes. Like a chair comes in with the legs and the top, and they're put together. So it's just from the point of the price. They couldn't. I mean, we were too expensive to continue making our own chairs and tables or whatever, you know.
But the quality just would not be the same. I don't care what you say about it. It just isn't the same.
I agree.
It might look fine day one, but come back 12 months or 2 years later and the stuff is just falling apart.
All things change because, I mean, when I started, we were just buying from Irish manufacturers, and then we went to the English manufacturers, then we went to America, and we went to Europe, and China and India. So
further and further afield all the time.
Yeah.
Malaysia, Indonesia, yeah. And you started when then? Did you say?
I started in 1953.
Right, straight in from school, was it?
But my brother, I should say, my eldest brother came in before me in 1943, and then he retired in 1986. He's dead now, and I retired in 1996.
And then Peter and David come in. Was there any chance that could have been the end of the generational run?
Not really, because in both their cases, I made sure that the firm could continue because Peter served his apprenticeship in Arns in Dublin, and David served his apprenticeship in some of the shops in England. So they came back with knowledge of the retail trade. They weren't kind of greenhorns.
No, I know.
They were young. Peter was only 26 and David 24.
I guess as well as that, you probably would have had a lot of families who have been employed over the years.
Yes,
maybe even father to son generational stuff.
We have the O'Shea family, and they've given over 130 years. Con Senior worked for 62 years, and he has 2 sons, Jimmy 45 years and Con Junior 22 years, who are still working with us.
Con was a delivery man, was he?
No, he was a delivery man in that photograph, but he was a carpet fitter, and his 2 sons are carpet fitters.
And it was, imagine a lot of that would have been by horse and cart, would it?
Of course.
We had no choice. I mean, the city had loads of stables because that's what was used, wasn't it?
That's right. Well, my father, he was coming to, we lived this time in Carrigroan, and he's coming with a horse and pony and trap, and he'd bring the trap into Conway's Yard and the pony, and then they delivered then from Conway's Yard. They'd put on the cart as you saw in the photograph, and like in those days, people, they were carpet fitters one day. There were delivery people the next day. You know, they did anything in those days. You know?
Yeah, but jack of all trades, actually.
exactly.
But and I don't know. Would you be a delivery guy one day and a French polisher the next? Perhaps not.
Well,
would you?
I mean, when I started like that. I'd go delivering. I mean, like it was whatever was required on the day you did it. I mean, Sorry.
And how do you find, I mean, you say you're retired, but I don't believe that anybody ever 100% retires from their own business. It's tough now, isn't it? I mean,
very tough.
You don't envy the two lads their job at this difficult time, I'm sure.
Exactly. Well, they're working very hard for smaller return. But the idea is that when I retired, I walked out and I left this because I feel the big problem with Cork businesses over the years is the parents or whatever stay too long. And your sons then get fed up with the father looking over the shoulder. I left them off, and it was the best decision I ever made.
But that's an interesting point, because I'm just wondering how many family businesses are left in Cork anymore now, you know?
Well, I can tell you that about 20 years ago, we were away on holidays, and a crowd of us one night that we'd start up on top of Patrick Street and go down to the Grand Prix on both sides and name the shops. And now, if you went through them now, there are not that many left. I mean, like when I started in 1953, you had Roach's Stores furniture, you had Cash's furniture, you had the Munster Arcade furniture, you had Grant's furniture, you had Sean Jennings furniture, and you had Queen's Old Castle. They're all gone. The only big shop now left in Paris is Modern by Ross O'Dowling.
And when you say the only big shop, is it the only big family shop, or the only big old traditional store that was there for many? Yeah, well, you know, you're talking about
a big family shop. Sorry, that's what I meant.
Yeah. Well, there was other. Remember Woolworths? They were huge.
Woolworths were, yeah, but they're unfortunately they're all gone now.
Burton's was very big. There was a lot of.
It was, and you had Elvery's and all these other places. There were some very big shops. You had Egan's in Patrick Street, which is a lovely building.
Yeah.
Also, like as I said, we were very lucky to have great employees. We had Coleman Hayes, who retired in 2005. We had numerous people that came on, and they, even though they were retired, they still came in and did other little jobs for us. You know,
53 years of service.
Yeah, I mean, like you don't get that present day, to be honest.
So the landscape's changed a lot, hasn't it? Patrick Street's changed, Grand Parade has changed.
It has, but I suppose it has keeping with the times. You understand?
In what sense? In with regards to suburbia and shopping centres, is it?
The only thing I suppose which is problem at the moment, you're competing with outside shopping centres, and like the city. I think every city depends on a good centre, because if you haven't got that,
do you think enough is being done?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think many businesses think so.
No, I don't think so. And I think the big problem is parking, clamping, etc. That I've seen it in myself now there in the last 3 or 4 years, people being clamped. I mean, like, once they're clamped, they'll never come back in again.
No, they won't.
Pay 135 euros or whatever it is. And the problems, I mean, I saw one myself, I experienced it, is that this old lady, she must have been well over 80, she was clamped. She had no money in her, so she had to get a taxi home to get money. She had to get her pension thing, go into the post office and get 130 euros.
Oh, it's terrible when you hear a story like that. But City Council will say, if she hadn't parked illegally in the first place, she wouldn't have to part with all that money, you know?
Well, yeah, well, I think that the trouble is that what is happening, from what I hear anyway, is that the people out there are doing this clamping. They've kind of fellas looking for people that haven't put a ticket on or for some reason.
They're spotters, yeah.
And then they're ring, and in 5 minutes the clampers arrive.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a business now, unfortunately.
Other cities have given free parking times, you know, Saturday mornings or afternoon parking free for 3 hours. Or
I think what Cork should do is put in these meters. I mean, like, I go to Portugal quite often, and in Spain or in Faro, you go along, and if you want to park for 20 minutes, you put in 20. You can put in 20 cents or whatever. Well,
they trialled that on the South Mall, and nothing ever became of it. Do you recall there a couple of years ago?
I don't actually remember.
Yeah, they had meters on the South Mall. They certainly did.
But I mean, to me, I think that they're very. It saves all these people kind of going around putting stickers on table. At least you can get people can walk up and down South Mall, I say, every 20 minutes, and they'll know whether cars are parked illegally or they haven't got a current ticket up, you know.
And you get those meters have you get a warning as well. There's kind of a red sticker comes up saying, you know, and it stays up for about 5 or 10 minutes, and when that drops down, it means that you're well over 10 minutes without any money paid, and the warden will know then that it hasn't just run out, it ran out 10 or 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, well, also I think myself is that the price of parking, like for the multi-story people, if people want to go in and get a couple of hours work, I mean, there's another 6 or 7 or 8 euros onto there where they can park in the outskirts for nothing.
Well, ultimately, do you think the city will eventually just become somewhere where people will go for a stroll or a cup of coffee, that all of the shopping will be done in Blackpool and Mahon?
I hope it won't, but it's
looking that way, though.
It's up to the city fathers to kind of do something about it. I mean, like, you must make places attractive in more senses than businesses. I mean, the shops are doing what they can, but the city hall or corporation, I think, are not giving them as much help as they should get.
And is there any furniture being made in Ireland at all now?
Well, there is in certain places, but not anything like what it was.
Nothing like the quality that was there before?
No, I don't think so. I mean, you have some very good upholstery firms still doing it, but they're few and far between.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's there. Unfortunately, it's coming in from Europe or in the Far East.
So furniture makers are cabinet makers. They're not trades that are being followed anymore.
No, I don't think so. No, unfortunately, there's no continuity at all in that field.
Would there be even fellas out there for one-off pieces, perhaps artisan?
But you see, I see people doing it. But then to do a one-off piece, the price would be it gets very expensive.
But you must really have fallen in love with particular pieces over the years, did you?
Oh, I do, yeah.
Did you have any particular area that you enjoyed more than others?
Well, I enjoyed talking to the people. I mean, like, it was basically in on a Monday morning, and you'd see a person that you mightn't have seen for 2 years, and she's bringing her daughter or grandchildren or whatever. That's what I liked, and I think family business are very important for that continuity, and I think and people and in those people a lot of people are very loyal.
Don't you think that people should be allowed to have a go off the bed, though? Would you allow that? I mean, I suppose you never came in on a Monday morning and found anybody asleep in a bed.
Never.
Do you not think somebody should be able to lie down and have a little bit of a snooze before they part with big money?
Well, I suppose
you take your shoes off first.
Well, you might. I say that could cause a lot of problems. But I mean, there was certainly the people in our place, and they have a bed centre where people can test the bed. They can go in privacy and do it without people looking at them, you understand?
I don't think I'll ask you what you mean when you say testing in privacy. I'll allow that up to be close.
I mean, like testing that it's the right shape for them and it isn't too hard or too soft or whatever.
I know. Well, listen, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I'm clean out of time. I hope that the lads make it.
Just before I would like to congratulate your crew. They were very professional the way they ran the live draw last Saturday morning. They were on time and courteous.
They're a great bunch.
With the ladies and gentlemen. It was brilliant, and I say well done to them.
They're a great bunch. Well, it's a pleasure talking to you, Jim. I hope to talk to other shops and other family-run businesses over the next few weeks, because it's just something that I think needs addressing, certainly.
Family businesses are the core of any city, I think. Well,
they are, because all too often we're spending all our money, and some of it is being sucked out of the economy and out of the country unbeknownst to ourselves.
Oh, it is, yeah. There's a lot of vultures waiting outside to take it off.
Here's a couple for you. I bought a 3-piece suite in Casey's in 1974. It's still as good as it ever was today. We had a hire purchase book at the time, and we used to call you Mr. Jim.
That's right.
And Kathleen McCarthy bought a carpet from Casey's in the 1960s. She was broke at the time, and you gave it to her for 6 months with no interest, and she's never forgotten that.
Well, that's nice to hear those.
Isn't that lovely?
That's lovely.
All right, Jim.
Thanks to Emer as well.
All right, good luck a while. Cheers. Take care of yourself.
Bye.